We all build our lives inside a story we've been handed. A story about what we should own, what we should owe, and what a normal, successful life is supposed to look like. And for most of us, that story feels a little bit like a cage. The door isn't locked, but we've never been taught where the key is. In Breaking Free from Broke, George Kamel pulls back the curtain on that story. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about understanding the quiet mechanisms that keep us feeling trapped, and the simple, profound choices that lead to a different kind of wealth altogether. The kind that feels like peace, like breathing room, like finally taking the pen and writing your own lines. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Trap of Being Normal. There's a specific sound to being broke. It's not the overdraft alert from your bank. It's deeper than that. It's the silence in the car after you turn the ignition off, sitting in the driveway because you don't want to go inside yet. Inside is the stack of bills on the counter. Inside is the polite, unspoken tension about what you can and cannot afford to do this weekend. It's the quiet sigh before you check your account balance one more time, hoping the math is somehow different. We've all heard that silence. And the most unsettling part isn't the silence itself. It's that we've been taught to believe it's normal, that this is just what adult life sounds like. We walk around wearing this quiet stress like a uniform. We compare our insides to everyone else's polished outsides and think, well, they're probably dealing with it too. Everyone has car payments, right? Student loans are just a fact of life. A credit card balance, that's just how you manage cash flow. It's the price of admission. We've confused common with normal, and we've mistaken normal for acceptable. Think about the stories we tell ourselves. I deserve this treat. It was on sale. You only live once. They're not even our lines, really. They're echoes. They're the soundtrack playing in the background of a system that profits from our comfort with being stretched thin. Being financially stressed has become the baseline, the expected background hum of existence. And if everyone's humming the same anxious tune, it's easy to believe that's just how the music goes. But here's the quiet rebellion no one talks about. Acceptance is a trap. The moment you accept that constant low-grade financial anxiety is just how it is, you hand over the keys. You stop looking for the exit because you assume there isn't one. You start making peace with the clutter of monthly payments, the dread of an unexpected repair, the postponement of dreams labeled someday. You trade your potential for peace of mind for the illusion of being a normal, functioning adult. It's a brilliant, devastating trick, because what's being sold as normal is often just broken. It's a life of reacting, not choosing. It's answering every financial fire alarm, but never owning a fire extinguisher. It's working to make payments on things you've already consumed, for a life that's already happened, leaving nothing for the life you want to build. And we do it because it looks like everyone else is doing it. The car, the house, the stuff, it all becomes a performance of stability. While backstage, the script is written in stress. There's a profound loneliness in that, isn't there? Smiling, saying you're fine, all while carrying that specific heavy silence. But what if that silence isn't a mandatory burden? What if it's not the soundtrack of your life, but the alarm clock? That quiet desperation isn't normal. It's a signal. It's the friction telling you something doesn't fit. And the first, bravest step to breaking free isn't a financial trick at all. It's a simple, subversive thought. What if I stopped pretending this is okay? That thought changes everything. It's the crack of light under the door. It's the realization that the path everyone is on might just be a treadmill. And you have permission to step off, to feel the solid ground under your feet again, to trade the noisy exhaustion of normal for the quiet confidence of something else entirely, something you design. That's where freedom starts. Not with a budget, but with a refusal. A refusal to accept a silent, expensive prison just because they handed you the key and called it home. Chapter 2. How the system keeps you broke. Let's talk about convenience. It's a soft, inviting word. It promises to save you time, to smooth out the wrinkles in your day. One-click ordering, instant approval, buy now, pay later. It feels like a gift, a little luxury in a busy life. But have you ever stopped to ask, convenient for whom? Because every time you accept that seamless, frictionless transaction, you should hear a very quiet, very distant click. That's the sound of a trap being reset. And the entire modern financial world is built on the hope that you'll never notice the mechanism, only the soft cushion of the promise. Think about the last time you felt broke. Not just low on funds, but genuinely stressed about money. Chances are, that feeling wasn't born from a sudden disaster. It was a slow leak, a subscription you forgot about, a payment plan for a couch you bought 2 years ago, the difference between the price and the monthly payment on your car. We focus on the monthly payment. The system designed it that way. It's a magic trick. They redirect your eyes from the total cost, a number that might make you gasp, and point you to a smaller, manageable, repeating number. You're not buying a car. You're renting the idea of one for $399 a month, and you'll do it again in 4 years. It's a subscription to a lifestyle you never quite own. Banks, credit companies, retailers, they aren't villains in a cartoon. They're brilliant architects, and their blueprint is your behavior. They study the gap between your intention and your impulse. Then they build a beautiful, well-lit bridge right over it. They don't want you to fail completely, of course. A collapsed borrower is useless to them. They want you to perpetually service your debt, to be a reliable, slightly strained engine of minimum payments. Your financial stress isn't a bug in their system. It's a feature. It's the steady, predictable hum of their profit machine. Consider the credit score. We're taught to worship it, to check it with nervous anticipation, as if it's a grade on our adult report card. But step back. What is it, really? It's a numerical value that predicts how reliably you will pay back borrowed money. It's not a measure of your wealth, your intelligence, or your security. It's a loyalty score for debt. The system rewards you for taking on debt and managing it obediently. The fastest way to a good score is to prove you are excellent at being in debt. They've convinced us that this score is the very key to our future, so we pour our energy into polishing it while they hold the lock and charge us for the polish. And then there's the oldest play in the book, making you feel behind. Marketing isn't about selling you a product. It's about selling you an inadequacy, a problem you didn't know you had. Your kitchen is outdated. Your phone is slow. Your life lacks adventure. Click here, and for just a few easy payments, you can close that gap. You can belong. It preys on a deep human fear, the fear of missing out, of being less than, of being left on the outside looking in. So you spend money you haven't earned yet, to buy things you don't really need, to impress people you don't actually like. And the system smiles, because your insecurity is their asset. It feels conspiratorial to say it out loud. It feels cynical, but it's not a conspiracy. It's a business model, a very, very successful one. They're not breaking any rules. They're just playing a game they designed, on a field they maintain, and they've kindly offered you a position on the team. The only catch is, you can never stop playing. Your sweat, your time, your labor becomes fuel to keep you in the game. You run faster to stay in the same indebted place. Realizing this is the second stage of waking up. First, you realize the silence of being broke isn't normal. Now, you start to hear the machinery creating that silence. You see the gentle, helpful hands that are quietly picking your pocket. And the strangest thing happens. The spell starts to break. That convenient monthly payment starts to look like a leash. That pre-approved offer starts to look like an invoice for your own freedom. The game hasn't changed, but your eyes have. And once you see the wires holding up the puppet, you can never unsee them. You can finally start thinking about what happens next when you decide to put down the puppet strings and pick up the scissors instead. Chapter 3. The Credit Illusion. We need to talk about your report card, the one they never stop grading, the one that follows you into a car dealership, an apartment rental office, sometimes even a job interview. You've been told it's a measure of your responsibility, your trustworthiness, a financial GPA. And we buy into that story so completely. We worry over it. We nurse it. We pay companies to protect it. But what if that story is backwards? What if a high score doesn't mean you're winning? It just means you're playing their game exceptionally well. Think about what you're actually proving with a pristine credit history. You're proving you're great at borrowing money and giving it back with interest on time. You're an ideal customer for debt. That's it. It says nothing about the money you have in the bank. Nothing about the peace in your mind when you lie down at night. A person with $1 million in the bank and no debt has a terrible credit score. The system shrugs at them. They're not profitable. They've opted out of the game. And the system has a special kind of disdain for players who leave the table. Let's take the most seductive tool in the illusion, the credit card. They frame it as power. Unlock rewards. Access exclusive perks. Build your future. The language is all about empowerment. But hold the plastic in your hand. It's not a key. It's a toll bridge. Every single time you swipe it for a purchase you could have made with cash, you're paying a toll to cross from today into tomorrow. You're spending future money. And the toll is a quiet, compounding friction that slows down your entire financial life. Those points? That cash back? It's a rebate on the toll. They're giving you a little cash back for the privilege of billing you later. We get excited about a 2% return while ignoring the 20% interest quietly ticking in the background if we ever stumble. It's like being thrilled about a loyalty punch card at a restaurant that's slowly poisoning you. Then there's the grand trilogy of modern debt: the student loan, the car note, the mortgage. They're presented as rites of passage, the responsible path. Go to a good school, drive a reliable car, own a home, all noble goals. But the method has been hijacked. The student loan says, invest in your future, but often trades a degree for a decade of indentured servitude to a monthly payment. The car loan sells you transportation, but wraps it in a 3-ton metal status symbol that loses half its value the moment you drive it off the lot, while you pay for the whole thing over 6 years. The mortgage is the ultimate mixed bag. It can be a wise investment, but it's also the biggest lever the system has to keep you obediently employed for 30 years. We've confused access with wealth. Credit gives you access to things you cannot afford, and that access is a mirage. It looks like a lush oasis of lifestyle from a distance. But once you get there, you're just standing on sand, holding a monthly bill for the view. Real wealth isn't about the ability to get a loan for something. Real wealth is the absence of the need for that loan. It's silence where the monthly payment used to be. The most profound shift happens when you stop seeing credit as a tool and start seeing it as a thermostat. The system wants your financial environment kept at a specific temperature, comfortable enough that you don't panic and flee, but consistently warm enough that you're always producing a little sweat, a little revenue for them. Every loan, every score, every minimum payment is just a dial on that thermostat, and your financial discomfort isn't an accident, it's the setting. Breaking the illusion doesn't mean you have to cut up all the cards and live in a cave. It means you change your relationship to the game. You stop chasing the score. You start asking a different, simpler question for every financial decision. Does this move me closer to owing someone or closer to owning my time? The answer is almost never found in a monthly payment. It's found in the quiet space you create when you decide that the best score to keep isn't the one they're tracking. It's the one you feel in your own chest, the slow, steady heartbeat of a life that isn't on loan. Chapter 4. Breaking the Chains of Debt. You know that feeling when you're carrying groceries in from the car? You try to do it in one trip. You pile the bags onto your arms, hook the milk jug with a finger, balance the bread on top. You make it halfway to the door before your fingers start to ache. The plastic handles dig into your skin, and you have to stop. You have to put everything down on the driveway, regroup, and make 2 trips after all. That's what debt feels like. It's the stubborn, prideful attempt to carry a load you were never meant to in one go. And the first step to relief isn't moving forward. It's the humbling, necessary act of setting the entire burden down for a minute. Just to breathe, to look at what you're actually carrying. We treat debt like a math problem. We look for the highest interest rate, the lowest balance, the perfect spreadsheet algorithm to solve it. And that's useful. But it's not the core. The core of debt isn't numbers on a screen. It's weight on your spirit. It's the invisible passenger in every conversation about the future. It's the but that finishes every dream. We could take a trip, but I'd love to change jobs, but that constant whispering but is the real chain. And you don't break a chain with a better calculator. You break it with a different kind of force altogether. Imagine your debt as a person. Not a monster, just a person. They live in your spare room. They don't pay rent. Every month you have to walk down the hall and hand them a chunk of your paycheck. They take it, they nod, and they say, "See you next month." You plan your life around this obligation. You work hours to feed it. You tolerate its presence because it's been there so long. It feels like part of the house. The goal isn't to hate this person. The goal is to finally, calmly show them the door, to stop the monthly visit, to reclaim the room in your mind they've been occupying rent-free. This is where the tactics meet the truth. The debt, snowball, the avalanche, they're just maps. The fuel for the journey comes from something quieter. It comes from a single, powerful redefinition. You stop calling it a payment. You start calling it a buyback. You are not sending money to a faceless corporation. You are buying back a piece of your future self's time. You are purchasing a Friday night free of that low-grade worry. You are acquiring a future Monday morning where your work earnings are yours alone. Every extra dollar thrown at debt isn't a loss. It's the most concrete investment you can make in your own liberation. You are literally purchasing your freedom, $1 at a time. There will be months where it feels stupid. You'll pass up the weekend getaway, the new gadget, the upgraded thing. You'll put that money towards some old, dusty balance from a past life. And in that moment, it will feel like a punishment. That's the illusion talking. That's the voice of the world that sells convenience. You have to see past the moment. You're not saying no to a thing. You're saying yes to a future where your choices are yours. You're trading a fleeting want for a permanent want, the want to be unburdened. And one day, it happens. You make the last buyback. You send the final payment. The transaction is complete. You walk to the door of that spare room, and it's empty. The silence that follows isn't the silence of being broke. It's a different kind of quiet altogether. It's the quiet of a house that is wholly, completely yours. You'll walk past that room for weeks, expecting to feel something monumental. But the feeling isn't a fireworks show. It's subtler. It's the absence of a hum you'd forgotten was there. It's the sudden, startling realization that you can hear your own thoughts again, that your future is no longer spoken for. The chain isn't broken with a dramatic snap. It's laid down, gently, because you finally understand it was only as heavy as you were told it had to be, and you are allowed to stop carrying it. Chapter 5. The Freedom of a Budget. People often say a budget is a cage, a list of limits, a spreadsheet full of no's. It sounds like the financial version of a diet. All discipline, no joy, and constant reminders of what you can't have. But what if that idea is completely backward? What if a budget isn't about restriction, but about direction? It's not a cage you live inside. It's a map you draw yourself, a guide for how you want your life to move. Think about the last time you questioned a purchase. Maybe it was a coffee, or something you ordered online that showed up a few days later. That uneasy feeling isn't really about the price, it's about the conflict inside. One part of you says, "You earned this." The other asks, "Was it worth it?" That moment is just your priorities meeting your habits. A budget, when you look past the word itself, is simply an agreement with yourself. You decide what truly matters, not in theory, but in real numbers. And once you make that decision, the pressure fades away. Because when you spend through a budget, you're spending with purpose. That coffee isn't an accident. It's a planned moment of comfort. That dinner out isn't a mistake. It's time you set aside for connection. The money leaves your account, but peace of mind stays with you. You already gave yourself permission in advance. Many people avoid budgeting because tracking feels uncomfortable. It feels like judgment from your own bank account. But if you shift the view, it's not about tracking spending, it's about tracking energy. Your time turns into money, and your money turns back into experiences. Every dollar is a piece of your effort, transformed into something you value. A budget simply asks, Did that feel right? And that answer belongs only to you. There's strength in knowing where your money goes, not for control, but for clarity. It's the difference between scattering seeds and planting with intention. When you plant at random, you might get a few surprises. When you plant with a plan, you create a garden you can rely on. That's what a budget is, your garden plan. It accepts that your resources have limits, but reminds you that your choices within those limits are endless. You can grow beauty, comfort, joy, or opportunity, all by choice. It's your design, your life. Real freedom isn't doing everything at once. That's not freedom. That's noise. True freedom is choosing deliberately and feeling calm about that choice. It's walking through life knowing your money reflects your values. That quiet confidence, that steady ease, is what a budget really gives you. It doesn't close you in. It closes out everything that doesn't matter: the pressure, the distractions, the outside noise. It leaves you with clear space to listen to your own priorities, to design the next chapter of your life intentionally. Chapter 6. Spending with Purpose. You are not a wallet. You are a story. And every time you spend money, you are writing a sentence in that story. Most of the time, we write on autopilot. The sentence is something like, "And then, feeling tired, she ordered takeout again." Or, "He bought the new gadget to quiet the restless feeling for an afternoon." It's not bad prose, but it's passive. The plot just happens to you. Purposeful spending is the moment you take back the pen. You pause, and you ask the most dangerous question you can ask in a consumer society: what am I actually trying to buy here? Because we rarely transact just for an object. We're shopping for an emotion, an identity, a solved problem. The latte isn't about caffeine. It's about a 3-minute pause in a rushing day. The new shirt isn't about fabric. It's about the version of yourself you hope to see in the mirror. Marketing knows this better than we do. They don't sell the drill bit. They sell the whole. They don't sell the car. They sell the feeling of freedom, or status, or safety. They bypass your logic and speak directly to the ache. And if you don't know what your own aches are, you'll buy whatever they offer to soothe them. You'll spend your life purchasing temporary band-aids for invisible wounds. Think about the last thing you bought that left you with a hollow feeling afterward. The buyer's remorse. That hollow feeling is the echo. It's the gap between the emotion you were chasing and the object you actually received. You wanted to feel capable, and you bought an organizing system. You wanted to feel adventurous, and you bought gear for a hobby you'll never start. The object lands with a thud, but the feeling you paid for never materializes. It was never in the box to begin with. Purposeful spending starts with translation. You learn to translate the want into the need. "I want this new phone" becomes, "I need to feel current and connected." "I want to eat out" becomes, "I need a break from responsibility," or "I need to feel cared for." Once you have the real need out on the table, you can look at it. Is this phone the only way to feel connected? Is a $50 dinner the only path to a break? Sometimes the answer is yes, and then you spend with clarity, and the purchase feels clean. But sometimes you see a dozen other cheaper, richer ways to meet that exact same need. A walk with a friend, an old book, an hour doing absolutely nothing. This is where discipline gets misunderstood. It's not saying no to things. It's saying a deeper, more profound yes to something else. It's saying yes to future security over present distraction. Yes to long-term peace over short-term novelty. Discipline is just your values, talking in a future tense. It's the part of you that remembers how you feel after the dopamine fades, advocating for the person you'll be tomorrow. The beautiful, almost ironic result is that spending less on the autopilot stuff creates a reservoir for the things that truly matter. When you stop using your money to shout over your internal noise, you start to hear what you actually want to say. Your spending becomes declarative. It becomes a line in your story you're proud to read back. And so she saved for a year and took her mother to see the ocean. He finally invested in the lessons for the instrument he'd always loved. The amounts might be larger, but the feeling is lighter because you're no longer buying things to fill a void. You're allocating resources to build a life. And that shift from consumer to architect changes everything. It turns every transaction from a question into an answer, the answer to who you are and what you're building. Chapter 7. Building Margin and Security. Security doesn't sound sexy. It sounds beige. It sounds like a sensible coat, a rainy day fund, something your grandparents talked about. We're drawn to the sparks, the investment wins, the luxury purchases, the dramatic turnarounds. But sparks fade, and they often leave you in the dark. Real financial peace isn't found in the spark. It's found in the space between the spark and everything else catching fire. That space has a name. It's called margin, and it's the most undervalued commodity in modern life. Margin is the gap between your life and the edge of the cliff. It's the breath you can take before you have to respond. It's the $1,000 and 48 hours rule. The rule that says, if your car breaks down or your pet gets sick or your water heater explodes, it's a logistical problem, not an existential crisis. You have the money, and you have the time to figure it out without your heart pounding in your throat. Most of us live without that gap. We park our lives right on the edge. One unexpected nudge, and we're scrambling, panicking, borrowing, and making terrible decisions from a place of pure fear. That's not living. That's perpetual emergency management. Think about the physical feeling of financial stress. Your shoulders tense, your stomach knots, your thoughts spin in frantic, useless loops. Now, imagine the opposite feeling. That's what margin provides. It's the slack in the rope. It's the unclaimed space on your calendar and in your bank account that absorbs the shock of life, so your nervous system doesn't have to. A fully funded emergency savings account isn't just money in a digital vault. It's an anti-anxiety medication with no side effects. It's the ability to look at a problem and think, okay, how do we solve this? Instead of, oh my God, I am ruined. We delay building this margin because it feels passive. It feels like money sitting still, not working, not growing, not impressing anyone. We'd rather throw it at the debt or the investment or the new thing. But that's like refusing to build a foundation for your house because you'd rather spend the money on a nicer chandelier. The foundation is invisible. No one compliments it. But when the ground shakes, it's the only thing that matters. Margin is your financial foundation. It's what allows everything else you build to stand. Building it is achingly simple, and that's why we overlook it. It's not about a complex strategy. It's about the first $500, then the first $1,000. It's about treating that fund as a non-negotiable bill you pay to your future self every month before you pay for Netflix, before you pay for takeout. You are literally purchasing calm. Dollar by dollar, you are buying back the right to a good night's sleep. And once it's there, something changes in you. Your posture toward the world softens. You walk differently. You don't jump at every limited time offer because you're no longer desperate for a deal to make your life work. You can say no to a bad job or a bad deal or a bad relationship because you have the resources to walk away. Margin doesn't just protect your money. It protects your choices. It protects your soul from the constant grinding pressure of precarity. It turns life from a narrow tightrope you're terrified of falling from into a path you can actually walk on, look around, and breathe. That's not beige. That's the color of freedom. Chapter 8. Growing Wealth with Patience. We have a cultural fetish for the breakthrough, the overnight success, the viral moment. We love the story of the lottery winner, the tech genius who strikes it rich before 30, the meme stock that moons. It's a thrilling story, but it's a terrible plan. It's like watching someone get struck by lightning and then spending your life standing on a hill in a thunderstorm, holding a metal rod. You're focused on the spectacular, unlikely event while ignoring the quiet, consistent power of the sun rising every single day. Wealth isn't built in the light of a lightning strike. It's built in the gentle, boring, almost invisible glow of compound interest. And we hate that. We hate boring. Boring doesn't get clicks. Boring doesn't make for good conversation at a party. Telling someone you diligently invested a fixed amount every month for 30 years doesn't spark envy. It sparks a yawn. But that yawn is the sound of a superpower being misunderstood. Compound interest isn't a financial mechanic. It's a form of alchemy. It's the process of turning your most mundane resource, steady, ordinary time, into your most valuable asset. Think of it as a tiny seed. You plant it. The first year, almost nothing happens. A spindly little sprout. You could easily crush it under your thumb. The impatient person digs it up, says, "This is useless," and goes looking for a magic bean. But if you leave it, if you just water it, ignore it, and let seasons pass, something strange begins. The growth isn't just additive, it's multiplicative. The growth itself starts to grow. The sprout becomes a sapling, the sapling a tree, and eventually, that tree starts dropping its own seeds. You're no longer just growing a plant, you're growing an ecosystem. That's the secret. You're not just earning returns on your money. You're earning returns on your returns. The money starts to work shifts you're not even clocked in for. This is where our psychology betrays us. We want a linear projection. Effort, then visible result. Now, investing with patience is a curve. It's flat, frustratingly flat, for what feels like forever. It demands faith in the geometry of a graph you can't yet see. You have to trust the invisible. You have to be okay with the fact that for years, your most important financial work will look like doing nothing at all. Just setting up the automatic transfer, ignoring the news, resisting the urge to chase the next bright, shiny, promising lightning bolt. Because the system is built to profit from your impatience. The flashy trading apps with their confetti animations, the gurus selling the next big thing, the constant drumbeat of market noise. They're all selling you the excitement of the storm. They're selling the metal rod. They make their money on your activity, on your fees, on your belief that you're smarter and faster than the slow, patient market. The greatest edge you can have isn't a hot tip, it's a temperament. It's the ability to sit still while everyone else is frantically running around. The end result of patience isn't just a number in an account, it's sovereignty. It's the ultimate margin. It's time, converted into money, converted back into time. The time you bought back by not worrying, not chasing, not panicking. The time you get to claim later, when your money has quietly grown into a silent partner that covers your needs without you having to lift a finger. That's the real magic. Not a sudden explosion of riches, but a slow, inevitable tide that lifts your boat so gently you barely felt it moving. You just look up one day, and the horizon has changed. The shore of anxiety is far behind you, and all you had to do was be patient enough to let the water do its work. Chapter 9. Living generously and joyfully. There's a paradox that money whispers once you stop fighting it. The tighter you cling, the more it seems to define you. Your world gets smaller. Every calculation becomes about preservation, about defense, about mine. But the moment you open your hand, the moment you give some away deliberately, without an immediate return, something cracks open inside the math. A new variable enters the equation. You're no longer just moving money from column A to column B. You're changing what the numbers mean. Generosity isn't a line item in a budget. It's a renegotiation of your entire relationship with scarcity. We're taught that giving is what you do from your excess, from the leftovers. Once you've secured everything, then, and only then, can you afford to be generous. It's framed as the final, luxurious stage of wealth. But that gets it backwards. Generosity isn't the caboose on the train of financial success. It's the engine. It's a declaration made with actual currency that you believe there is enough, that you are not in a zero-sum game with the world. And that declaration, made with a $20 bill to a cause you care about, or an hour of time for a person who needs it, does something to your brain. It rewires the fear. It proves to the deepest, most anxious part of you that you are not on the brink, that you have something of value to offer, that you are in fact safe enough to share. Think about the last time you bought yourself something nice. The pleasure is real, but it's often a contained pleasure. It sits with you. It's private. Now, think of a time you gave a perfect, unexpected gift, or covered a friend's lunch when you knew they were struggling. The feeling isn't contained. It radiates. It connects. That feeling isn't just emotional fluff. It's a financial signal flare. It's your psyche telling you that you've used money for its highest purpose, not to acquire, but to connect. not to build a higher wall, but to build a longer table. This is where the system's narrative breaks down completely. The system wants you to believe that happiness is on the other side of the next purchase. That joy is a product you can own. Generosity flips that script. It reveals that the deepest joy isn't in having, but in impacting. It moves you from the lonely role of consumer to the connected role of benefactor. And you don't need a fortune to play that role. You just need intent. The $5 coffee you buy for the person behind you in line can create a more profound ripple of well-being than a $500 gadget you buy for yourself. Because it's not about the amount. It's about the disruption of the transactional flow. It's a moment where money stops being a tool for getting and becomes a signal for giving. And this practice, this small regular opening of your hand, does something insidious to the fear of not enough. It starves it. Every act of giving is a vote for abundance. It's a tangible piece of evidence against the scarcity myth. You start to see your money not just as fuel for your own life, but as a resource you can use to soften the world a little. That shift is profound. It turns finance from a solitary game of accumulation into a shared experience of stewardship. Your budget isn't just a plan for your life anymore. It's a plan for your impact. The final quiet joke is that generous people often feel richer long before their net worth catches up. They've unlocked a different metric. They've stopped measuring just the pile and started feeling the flow. The money moves through their lives not just as an agent of personal comfort, but as an agent of connection, meaning, and quiet power. That's the ultimate wealth, not a number that traps you in its protection, but a tool that liberates you to be more human, to look outward, and to find, in the simple act of giving, the very joy you were trying to buy all along. Chapter 10. Breaking Free for Good. You don't feel it at first. The freedom, after all the debt payoffs, the built-up savings, the automated investments, the mindful spending, you walk around waiting for a fanfare, for some celestial choir to sing a note so pure it shatters the old anxiety for good. But it doesn't come. Life just feels normal, quieter. And then one Tuesday, you're in the middle of an ordinary task. Maybe you're loading the dishwasher or stuck in traffic and it hits you, not as a shout, but as the absence of a sound you'd gotten so used to. You thought it was part of the music. The low, constant hum of financial dread is gone. The background process that was always running, consuming a little bit of your joy, a little bit of your attention, has finally been shut down. And the silence it leaves behind isn't empty. It's full of space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to be something other than broke. This is the destination that isn't a place on a map. It's a state of being. It's not a net worth figure you shout from a mountaintop. It's the private, unremarkable peace of knowing your needs are met and your choices are your own. The system sells you a picture of freedom. The luxury car, the big house, the early retirement on a beach. But that's just a different set of props on the same stage. Real freedom is being able to walk off the stage entirely, to stop performing, to decide that the script you were given, the one that equates spending with success and debt with normalcy, is optional. You can write your own lines now. They might be simpler. They might be less impressive to an audience, but they will be true. Breaking free isn't a one-time revolution. It's a daily recommitment to a quiet rebellion. It's choosing the muted power of enough over the loud, exhausting chase for more. It's understanding that every financial decision, from your morning coffee to your retirement portfolio, is a vote for the kind of life you want to live. And when you align those votes, something unshakable settles in your center. You are no longer a passive character buffeted by bills and marketers and economic tides. You are the author, the editor, the one who gets to say what happens next. This journey, from silence to silence, changes the questions you ask. The question stops being, "Can I afford this?" and becomes, "Does this deserve a place in my life?" The fear of missing out is replaced by the joy of opting in on your own terms. You realize the ultimate luxury was never the yacht. It was the afternoon, the unplanned, unsold, uninterrupted afternoon where you do something for no other reason than it pleases you, and you didn't have to trade a piece of your future to pay for it. So this is what it feels like to break free for good. It's not a finish line you cross. It's a new kind of gravity you learn to move within. Lighter, more deliberate. The chains weren't made of metal. They were made of stories. Stories about what's normal, what's necessary, what you deserve. And you've spent all this time, from that first moment of refusal in Chapter 1 to this quiet Tuesday realization, writing a new story. One where money is a tool, not a master, a resource, not an identity. The final page of that story is never really written because it's no longer a story about money. It's just your life, lived consciously, on purpose, and finally, peacefully, your own. If this quiet rebellion made sense to you, if you felt that hum your whole life and you're ready for the silence, then you're already part of it. This isn't where it ends. It's where your version begins. Drop a word in the comments below. Just silence. Let's see how many of us are out here, living in this new, quiet freedom. And if you know someone who's still listening to that old, exhausting hum, share this with them. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is show someone that the volume knob exists. Subscribe if you want to keep building this life of purpose, not payments. I'll be here, in the quiet, figuring it out with you.